Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. I am your father.
A lot like A New Hope, everyone praises Empire Strikes Back as a flawless masterpiece, but I found it to be just a slight improvement. People have called it the greatest sequel ever made. It's always on a permanent list of greatest films of all time, and I found that to be laughable and complete nonsense. Now, I will say The Empire Strikes Back is a lot better than A New Hope, but the film is still not a great movie. It's just not. It's still crammed with cheesy moments and just uncomfortable things that we need to talk about. A continuation of this whole incest thing that George is just determined to just put on the big screen and just shove in our face. And it's weird, man. It's weird. It's an okay film that gets passed for perfection because people are just so obsessed with nostalgia that they're not willing to just look at it for what it really is. It's just okay. But because it's an improvement on the last film that people felt was a masterpiece, you can't tell anybody anything differently. They're going to feel how they want to feel. But this video is about how I feel. And I'm going to explain why I feel the way that I do. First off, I'm not just going to shit on it from the jump. I'm going to give it its credit where it's due. The Empire Strikes Back is a leap forward from A New Hope. In almost every way. The sets are more stable, the fighting is a little bit better. There have been improvements that were made. I think George probably got some feedback and he made some adjustments, or he actually looked at the film that he made the first time and realized how cringy it was. Either way, improvements were made. A New Hope was more of a straightforward hero's journey with a storybook ending, where the Empire is more to be about failure. It's got a different tone to it. The good guys are the ones that are on the run the entire film and getting beaten down at every single turn. This shift to a darker, more somber tone is definitely this film's greatest strength. It makes things more interesting. A huge reason for the leap in quality is there's a different director. George handing over the reins was probably his best bet because George must have been off that bottle, man. I don't know George. The performances are stronger, the dialogue is a little bit sharper, and the emotions are a little bit heavier. The pacing is a lot better, it's more action-packed because maybe the first film, a lot of times you have to establish the characters' arc, their origin, their character. In this one, you can just kind of pick up. You know who we're dealing with now, and you just get straight to the action, which works to the film's benefit. The story is split in two. Half of it is Luke's spiritual trainer and Dagobah working with Yoda, and the other one is just the high stakes on the run of Han, Leia, and Chewie. And this structure allows the characters to grow in their own ways that they couldn't in the first film because they have more room to breathe apart from each other. And speaking of Yoda, this is when we first get introduced to him, and he's at the tail end of his story at this point, but we finally get introduced to one of the most recognizable characters in Star Wars. By the way, the greatest lightsaber wielder in the entire galaxy, dripping so much sauce. But introducing Yoda is probably one of the best decisions in the entire saga. He's not just some quirky little creature, he's a vessel of the franchise's whole philosophical core. His scenes with Luke aren't just about lifting rocks with your mind, they're about patience, failure, confronting the darkness within yourself. Luke's journey is also more compelling this time around. In A New Hope, he's a wide-eyed farm boy with a lot of sass who looks up into being a hero. Here, his best qualities, his bravery and loyalty, are the very things that lead to his downfall. He ditches his training, he rushes into a fight that he's not quite ready for, and he gets cooked. He loses his hand, which is a pivotal part in his character development. But all of this thematic depth and better direction, the film is still goofy. Look, man, it is what it is. I mean, there's a little bit better cinematography, there's a better score, but none of that can distract from the single most uncomfortable part of this whole thing that started off in A New Hope and continues on in the next two films, and that's the incest. I don't know what your deal is, George. And people say, well, they didn't know. It's just romantic tension between Luke and Leia. But you know who did know? The man who wrote it. The man who doubled down on this. Yours truly, George Lucas. He knew. So what does that say? It's just one of those subplots that just makes rewatching this film just kind of cringy and uncomfortable. Like the kiss on Hoth where Leia plants one on Luke just to make Han jealous.
Anyone has sex with my sister, it's gonna be me.
It's played off for laughs and like a love triangle drama, but it's kind of nasty. And then there's the deleted scene where they almost kissed again. These are awkward moments from a story that was clearly still evolving. Although this is the second film in a trilogy and he still put it in there, but the stories continue to evolve. Now, some people may say, well, George only had vague ideas about Leia being his sister, and he didn't lock in that idea until Return of the Jedi. But knowing how it all ends up, it makes the decision even more bizarre. You not only double down, you triple down on this in Return of the Jedi. But beyond that massive galaxy-sized elephant in the room that you can't just discuss these films and just not talk about, the script is still peppered with moments of, how can I say this, cheesiness. Some of Han Solo's lines, as iconic as they are now, are just kind of cheesy. You remember this one.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
It's just plain silly, man. And then we can't forget the giant space worm when the crew finds itself hiding inside of what they think is an asteroid, only to find out that they're inside of a space slug's mouth. I mean, it's cheesy, man. It's just, this is a masterpiece to you? 1 minute they're in a desperate fight for their lives from the Star Destroyers, and the next they're in a low-budget creature feature. I'm genuinely asking, take away the nostalgia. This is masterful storytelling to you? Now, this brings me to the action and visuals. And again, I can hear it already. They were incredible for the 1980s, okay? And I get it, the times that they were in. I get it. And I will credit, George is actually very pivotal in the advancements of CGI and special effects that we have today. So I will take my hat off to George there. I completely understand how important he is to how we see special effects today. And Star Wars continues to push the envelope with their new technology they have, the volume, which they are starting to use on other projects outside of Star Wars. So I get it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the lore of Star Wars. I appreciate the world building. I appreciate the technology and the special effects that came from it, but I can still look at this film and call it what it is. Now, George used a lot of practical effects, which is honestly is still a place for it today. If you go back, and this is kind of off topic, but if you look at like Jurassic Park today, where it's all CGI, and Jurassic Park the originals are so much more scarier. Like the practical effects still play a huge part on how we take in information and how we feel, and just the practical effects delivered a different type of experience. But during my rewatch of this film, I'm watching this now knowing what I know, how he was using miniatures, like toy type structures to like create these battle sequences, and watching it now, I can't unsee it. I can see like a man with like an aircraft toy in his hand just flying around like a kid, you know, just like acting like he's in a dog fight, and they just eventually just CGI out the hand. That's how it feels now. I look at it, I can't take it serious because I know, I guess it's almost like when a magician does a trick, but then you find out how he does it. You just can't see it the same way. Or somebody cooks a meal, and instead of just eating the meal, you see how the meal is made. You just don't see it the same way, and that's how I feel about this. But I will say, it was impressive how he thought outside the box, given his limits of technology. I will acknowledge that, but I'm not going based off of just nostalgia and how it was impressive back then. I'm looking at the film for what it is right now. Now, when it comes to the combat, the duel between Luke and Vader is hailed as one of the greatest in the series. Emotionally, sure. Is it psychologically the heart of the film? Okay. But in terms of choreograph, it's a step up from the generic stick fighting in the first time, where it just looked like they were just trying to like roast marshmallows, but it's still incredibly slow and dated. Watch it again. Don't try to reminisce on what you remember seeing or feeling when you first saw it, or the last time you saw it years ago. Watch it again today. The swings are wide and just super telegraphed. There's very little footwork. Everybody knows in every great fighter sport, the footwork is key, man. You gotta have that footwork. It doesn't feel like a life or death like struggle. It just feels like two guys carefully tapping expensive props together so that they don't break them, because it's gonna come out their check. The emotion of the actors is what really sells the scene, not the actual physical action, because the physical action is terrible. Say what you want about the prequel trilogy, but they had some of the best fluid, acrobatic, and genuine dangerous feeling duels in the entire saga. The choreography was just masterful. This is just a perfect example of how nostalgia can just cloud our perception. Look, I get it. The Empire Strikes Back is iconic in certain ways. It gave us Yoda, it gave us Lando, it gave us Boba Fett, it gave us the Imperial March, a lot of different things, and I appreciate it for that. I won't ever take that away from it, but it's only slightly better than A New Hope, and A New Hope is not good. Another thing I'll give it credit for, though, is that it ended on a cliffhanger, kind of something that Marvel did with Infinity War. Han Solo is frozen, and it's not like he gets unfrozen by the end of the film and everything's all happy and joyous. You don't get the answer to the question of what happens to him until the very next film. So there were things that were done better from a director standpoint that vastly improved on A New Hope. It's not flawless, it's not perfect, and it's certainly not a masterpiece. And now I want to hear from you. Is it a masterpiece to you? And if so, tell me why. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.